Hey, entrepreneurs, executives, and spammers. We started the Pilot House email and customer retention team to crush targets. And in our fourth year, we are the best customer retention team in the Roman character set. We use campaigns to fire up the addresses you spent so much money to acquire and build effective automations that keep your engagement window fat and drive value that you can amortize over years. The cheapest customer is the customer you already have, and the most effective ad funnels go to high-intent audience. Come to pilothouse.co, fill out the lead form, and ask to speak with me directly. I'll give you a free audit. Back to the show.
In the inbox late night, glowing screen, see the light. Email, everything feels alright.
Let's see if adding pure non-promotional content will increase the overall results of your welcome experience. Imagine just like real life stories, tales. If it's like kitchen products, tales from the kitchen. Let's say your product was like home furnishings, tales from the bedroom. That's gonna get some clicks, right? Use content from customers that just tells a story about how the product fits in with someone's life. If you can get inside someone's imagination, you have infinite budget. There is no budget that matches all of the things that someone can imagine.
I'm Eric. This is Jogo, and we are here with part 2 of Jogo's Retention Bootcamp. Last time in part 1 of the series, we covered the overall framework that Jordan and his team used to determine success of their mailing campaigns. And today we're diving into more specifically all the content that works best, the cadence with our welcome sequences when we get new users coming on. We are making sense of your welcome experience. Welcome to All Killer No Filler. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you today?
Good. We were saying that last week's episode was a little cerebral. We went into deep, advanced analytics of with hockey metaphors of our Corsi and our Fenwick rates. And we feel we may have lost some people on some of the esotericness of that data. But today we got a lot of concrete stuff people can use. Yeah,
for sure. And so maybe if we go through this and you see some of the content and you go, oh yeah, I want to run some of that content, it might give you might make you go, oh, I'll go back now and watch the heavy metrics one to kind of measure what we're doing. And if not, there's some great content ideas here you can try and just fly blind. Always an option, yeah? All right, I've got some cards again. This time I darkened it a bit. That last one where it wasn't dark enough, flop. So we're improving our content as we go with content testing as well.
And go to YouTube if you want to get the full visual experience of this Jordan Retention Bootcamp. You got to see these cards. So go to YouTube. There we go. Right. Let's go.
So we will talk through some content stuff: merchandising, education, lifestyle. And then also maybe a little bit talk about how campaigns fit into this, but again, maybe not. Sometimes campaigns actually don't even fit in this at all. And then we'll go through some more structural stuff, Cadence, some other channels, just to talk about how everything fits together. And again, we're discussing how to decrease time to buy and increase 30-day purchase rate. And kind of at the end, we'll talk through a little bit of a hierarchy there so you can understand what's more important and in what situation. And of course, feel free to go back to the previous episode where we talk in depth about those metrics if you have more questions on that.
Cool.
Shall we jump in?
Let's go.
Merchandising, right? Spaceballs. So look, this is just a little 4 email sequence. Now we're going to go through a whole lot of different emails, but what's this whole thing about? It's for selling products. We're talking about selling products. A lot of this would still transfer to services, but this is very product focused. So let's just talk through how we would maybe merchandise over 4 messages, kind of really create a core for all of this. So message 1, you start with your coupon. Of course, this is like 10% off or whatever is 15%. That's how this sequence always starts. And then top total margin product. So let's do a product feature on the product that is driving you the most margin. This is generally like your whale product. That's what people show up to buy. Let's explain it to them, right? Feature that. And get into the brand promise. I would recommend don't really go into yet like how it's manufactured and stuff like that. Start with, the brand. Why are you there
why.
for them? Why are they interested in you? Really explain that. If you explain that well, they'll read more messages. If you don't convey this, they're you haven't dug into their mind. We'll do a Don Draper quote later on to really drive that home. And then reviews or CGC. Close it off with that. Right? So there's a nice tight little message. Yeah.
It's funny. I would have thought the why would go first. My instinct would be to put like, hey, here's why you're here. But you're saying lead with the coupon because that's really because money talks.
Well, on this message, so on this first message, they filled. This is the general format that we're talking about. Is they fill out a form that says "Get this off," and then the first message.
Got it.
Says,
So this is like the spinning wheel. Got it.
Get this off. Right.
Yeah.
Here's that deal, and of course you can play with moving your brand promise above your first product. You can play with that.
Yeah.
Right? This is a merchandising sequence, so I'm really focusing here on merchandising the products. Yeah. Second message. This time we don't lead with the coupon. Now, what some people on my team, they'll actually still put the deal in a little thin kind of bar right at the top of the message, just so they know that coupon's still there. But I mean, you don't want to get gap syndrome, the gap where everything is just like everything you see is 40% off, and it's just really. It places your brand in a bad light.
You don't be dependent on that too, and as your only draw.
You don't want them to only see deal. So so this time again, maybe thin bar line up top. Just put the code so they can see it. But then you lead this time with top individual margin product, and I'll just say you can play around with swapping it. The top individual margin product, that's like your biggest, most expensive thing. Right? So I actually sometimes like leading this with this, put your best foot forward, show them your premium thing, your reason, your raison d'etre or whatever, right? Show that one. But again, this one is generally going to sell better. You're showing them the one that they came for. So this time we're going to say, hey, lead second message, lead with this more premium product. And here, now we'll get into some product merchandising. These two are generally, let's assume these are kind of from the same category. So this product merchandising would probably match for this as well in this hypothetical situation. And so now we would go into, really start describing why that product line is so great. And we'll talk through more ideas. We'll be more specific in a couple of different sections. We're just showing order for merchandising right now. And then, guarantee warranty. So really things that are going to get them over the finish line. Make sure you educate them on that. And then finally, there's that coupon code. So still educate them on that. But again, they already know it's there. So don't waste your real estate on that. Yeah?
Yep.
Message 3, 4-message sequence. So now, secondary category. Introduce them further down the catalog. Now, importantly, this is like discrete. We're not using dynamic merchandising here. Because the welcome series, use dynamic stuff on emails people are going to receive more than once so that it freshens it up. But we're like hard coding this. So we're introducing them to the catalog thoughtfully. And that way we can put in, it's like a category feature, or maybe it's a product from a secondary category, and really spell out some features and benefits. And again, so some more product marketing. But now we got new kinds of product marketing because we're further down the catalog now. Do reviews CGC again, close it off with the coupon, right? And then finally, we're going to close the whole thing off, lead with the coupon, right? Because we're closing this thing off, and then accessories. So you didn't get them yet. So try to get them on some side stuff. They might be at your brand. They're already using that. They're already in that category. Get them on some side stuff,
Which could be lower ticket as well, right? Lower commitment, lower, yeah.
You're cheap. This is no more shirts and pants. Go with ties, right? Try dynamic. Now here, try dynamic bestsellers. Because you've tried your main category, secondary category, accessories. Just get them on a bestseller and then close it off with whatever, review, CGC, guarantee, free shipping, whatever. Just close it off there. And you've got a 4-message sequence that introduced them properly to your whole catalog, your brand, and did the product marketing that goes with it. Yeah?
And Now, tell me about these emails. These are beautifully designed HTML emails. Generally, is that what we're like? What is the actual design that goes into these types of emails? Do they look like newsletters?
Sure. No, these are merchandising. So you kind of got your hero, and you maybe do some side by side, like some right, left, right. There's uses for HTML and for full design. We do a lot of full design because people want full design. But if you're planning on making any changes, HTML is nice because someone can go in there and just edit it, and you don't have to open a Photoshop file, right? And then anybody can do it. So I do highly recommend HTML for a lot of businesses, but mostly what we see this with is full design. And because it's merchandising emails, you want to set it up. I realize now I should have put this in my presentation. Thank you. You want to set it up like a category page. It's almost like you're on the website and there's a bunch of products. The nice thing is here you get a chance to put some descriptions in. You get a chance to be artistic with it. But they're really scrolling through a category page and clicking and going direct to the product. That makes sense? And the nice thing about that is each of these times we featured a SKU. So that means we're driving directly to the product. There are sometimes there are category pages on sites that have a lot of content and really do a lot of that product marketing. So you can when you're putting this together, you can lead with, rather than doing a product feature, you could lead with a category feature, give a bunch of the do a bunch of the product marketing for that category, and then drive them to the category page rather than the product page. It's one click further to cart, but there's more to take in. So if you got a complicated product, you'd probably see more benefit from that. And interestingly, if you go back to our framework work we were putting together, you drive them to that category page, it's a further click back, but you're really getting into their mind, you're really interested in the product. You may see, while the time to buy might decrease a bit, you may see an increase in your 30-day purchase rate because you've taken the time to educate your user, which is where we're going to go next.
Nice.
Answer your question?
Yes.
All right. Educational emails. So this is originally what I was thinking of when I thought about this kind of 3-part series, is like, what is the opposite of dumping them a coupon?
Yeah.
Right?
Can I ask one more question? Sorry to interrupt. Could I ask one more question about the welcome series? I don't know if we're going to get into cadence of all of these different ones after the fact, but what is the cadence of that 4-email welcome email sequence? Is that every other day? Is that once a day? Is that once a week? What is that cadence?
Yeah, look, default, sure, every other day, but we're going to definitely discuss that in detail when we get to the cadence section. But if I had to say something, set it up, every second day. Lots of research I've done shows that usually by the 3rd welcome message, someone's made their first purchase. So 4 welcome messages is enough, although we're talking about how to beef that up. But here's the skeleton for the first 4. But look, that's the thing. It's like, is every second day like magically the right cadence? No, you're only going to know that by actually testing. Okay, so we're going to educate. So don't bury this. Don't bury this stuff. Let's make some dedicated emails and do real marketing, right? Rather than like, here's a coupon. Let's market our product. So, how the product works. Like, imagine we put together an email that just explains our product, right? How the product is built. So here's some pictures of our manufacturing facility in Italy, right? Or in Oregon. We're like building our bikes ourselves in Oregon. Let's talk about how it's built, right? How it helps. So look at common uses. Pain point and resolution. You know the videos, the telemarketing videos where the person walks in the front door and is falling all over the shoes and it's in black and white. Wow. And then, oh wait, magically there's the super shoe wall and it folds out and you can put all your stuff in there and you're no longer tripping, and you can take it camping and you can, all your muddy boots. That is classic pain point resolution, where first you show the person in black and white falling over the shoes, and then you show the product. So maybe talk about how it helps and really do some pain point and resolution. and make a message. Why not make a message that's really well designed and really well thought out that does this? What's in it? Talk about components and or ingredients, whatever's appropriate. And it's got a subject line that says this. It's got a headline that says this. It's not just buried under some other message. You're really taking the time to explain to them what's in the product. And then ultimately, what's all this supposed to do? If you did imagine you do like an educational series. We did 4 messages here, and we put together another 4 messages. And they kind of go out interspersed. They got a different design, so someone gets it and opens it up and goes, oh, it's another one of those educational emails, right? They're getting really into your content. The whole purpose of this, maybe whatever, few educational messages is, why is this better than whatever I get at Walmart, right? So that's what you're trying to do here. That's your North Star for these educational messages. And like I say, put together a few and give them a separate look and feel. And of course, put a product at the bottom. But these were your merchandising messages where you're trying to sell the products. These are, of course, going to be your winners. These are the ones that are not going to be winners individually, but they're going to make the team score, as we discussed, and you're going to see an increased 30-day purchase rate. Yeah?
Amazing. These are your dependable defensemen that may not score a lot, but are really, really contributing to shots.
They really do pass it forward.
Yeah,
so when
exactly.
you send out that one that leads with the coupon and just scores it,
yeah. He was
it's
cherry picking up there. Sniper was cherry picking. I'm a defenseman, so you got to get it out of your zone, which is what these emails seem to do.
Yeah, exactly. Lifestyle, right? So imagine just like real life stories, tales. If it's like kitchen products, tales from the kitchen. People will be into that, right? And then let's say your product was like home furnishings, tales from the bedroom. That's going to get some clicks, right? So you're actually talking about use content from customers, break it out, multiple. You can do multiple in one message that just tells a story about how the product fits in with someone's life. Or lifestyle in fashion, like a look for each season. The neat thing about that is you can talk about how certain garments can carry out throughout the year. The nice thing about a look for each season is even though it's evergreen and can sit in your welcome email and go forever, it has something for whatever season someone is in when they get your welcome series. So it's a sneaky season-specific evergreen, right? It lasted so long that ... right? Talk about how durable it is. Or I was able to get rid of ... which is versatility. If you got durability and versatility, that's your y-axis and your x-axis, right? Time and applicability. So build try a life cycle series. Put together a few emails that really spell this out. A few messages, right? Give it maybe a separate look and feel, so someone realizes, oh, I'm in this kind of little life cycle sequence. And the bottom line here is let them see their life with your product. Find a way to let them see their life. And here's that great little Don Draper paraphrase. I can't remember exactly what he said, but when I heard it, it was so poignant. If you can get inside someone's imagination, you have infinite budget, right? There is no budget that matches all of the things that someone can imagine. So all you want to do is get that started here, right? It's kind of interesting, isn't it?
It is. It's future casting. It's sort of like imagining what your life will be like when you bring this product into your life in a way, right?
Absolutely.
Which is what all manifestation is about, being able to help visualize what you're going to be in the future, how you're going to feel in the future. And if you can get that across in these emails.
And don't bury it down here. Don't bury it on like the third section of email 3. Like, here's the point here, tying back to our earlier discussion, is let's see if adding pure non-promotional content will increase the overall results of your welcome experience. Then we'll get into some of this structural stuff, play with cadence. So look, I had just said, look, if you're going to do something, do every second day, whatever, right? But let's play with this idea for a second. Send an email every day. Why not? Of course, I have heard, oh, well, people are going to opt out or this or that. It's going to scare people off. Well, wait a second. We're measuring time to buy exactly, and we're measuring purchase rate exactly. So you're going to know if this is ruining the experience. It can drive some opt-outs. I will say, I guess we'll skip ahead. We'll skip ahead a slide. Half of any list is stale prospects that never buy. So I wouldn't sweat too much about opt-outs in the Welcome Series, right? Like this is the chance to get them to buy. So you can play with the idea of just scheduling a message that goes every day, right? And you need a lot of welcome messages for that. You don't want to just put out a bunch of crap. You got to put out some good messages. But that might really draw forward that time to buy. I see that very rarely. Now you can watch and you'll know in the sequence, you'll see when it starts to fall apart, like when it starts going south, and then you can space it to 2 or 3 days a message. Why not, right? Also, conversely, you could stretch it out because you find that maybe it's all specific to every brand, and you have your time to buy. We discussed in the last exactly how to find your time to buy. We discussed, so you can look at it and go, actually, a lot of these purchases are happening later. You can also just stretch this thing out, do the exact opposite, and make sure that they're still getting that welcome coupon, for instance. Also, consider removing people from campaigns during this time. If you put up an exclusion segment that says if they've subscribed or had a first activity in the last 21 days, and or they purchased in the last 21 days, whatever, just block them from your welcome series. Because here's the philosophy behind that. We're putting so much effort into saying exactly what we need to say to get them to buy. Why let them get this email that says, last chance for blah, 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 third email we've sent, and no one's really interested in this? Why give them that email? Why let that stuff their inbox rather than this really, really well thought out stuff? So there's thinking there. At the same time, hey, you know what? It's, especially if you're sending an email a day. But if you're not sending an email a day, hey, you know what? There's an extra impression. So if you starve them from that impression, you starve them from an opportunity to get on the site and purchase. And you would need to use the metrics from last week to really know what the result of that change was. Channels. Yeah? So, look, retargeting offer. If someone's in retargeting, they may have filled out your pop-up, and you could also just, if your list is big enough, you could just take that people who've signed up recently and plug them into something else. But let's just make sure you're working properly with your brothers and sisters on the ads team to like make sure the two are harmonized. Click to SMS Concierge. An email is just an HTML web page, right? So you can just have someone click and say, oh, SMS, and send a text message to someone in your team. If you've got a product, if your AOV is like $300, it's probably worth it to just get an SMS from someone and use that time to sell them on your highest margin product, right? Why not do that? And of course, that's this weird touch point. You would need to have the measurement system from last week to really understand how that weird SMS back and forth is affecting your overall time to buy and purchase rate. Duplicate all welcome messages with an SMS, and maybe not if you're sending an email every day, but let's mirror everything and make sure you're really using SMS, because again, you know what? If they don't buy during welcome, probably never going to buy. Don't take your foot off the gas here. And then this is interesting. Look at build copy based on common organic entry pages. Find out why they're hitting your site and build that in here. Speak to that in here in your welcome series, so that there's a very good chance that after they sign up, they're seeing stuff that makes sense based on where they entered your site. Kind of tie those things together.
You mean like referring sites? Like that's like analytics data?
Well, I mean, I was thinking the entry page on your site and the
On your
content
site,
that's
yeah.
on your site. But of course, you could do the exact same thing with referring sites. Like if you have a whale referrer site, especially if you got like an affiliate relationship, and this is a little in the weeds, you can obviously segment on that too, and you can have a custom series based on entry. You got to Klaviyo does track a bunch of this stuff. It's in the weeds. You got to figure it out, but you could figure it out and customize that. Yep. So to close that, we're going to close this thing off. Okay. So like I said, half of any list of stale prospects is stale prospects that never buy. So don't sweat unsubscribers and welcome. Don't sweat it. And I'll just say we are trying to improve purchase rate and time to buy. If you improve purchase rate, 30-day purchase rate, that's usually fine. That's great. That's what you want. You want more people. You want more goals, right? We did make the argument, hey, getting that shot on net and scoring faster is good because it increases your revenue, your inventory churn, and allows you to invest in ads faster, and your business will settle at a higher net income. I can't remember what I said last week. But here's the deal. Closing thought here. You have to improve your time to buy a lot to justify worsening your 30-day purchase rate, right? So if you bring that time to buy up a lot, you improve that churn. So let's say you're doing something like, hey, we're sending an email every day. We're just like, get them to buy. That's great. But if you find your 30-day purchase rate is worse, this thing has to be, you'd have to find a way to model this out in a spreadsheet. Good luck. But point being, if this isn't a huge improvement in time to buy, ultimately you're ending up with less customers. So how you would think about that is, well, I've reinvested in ads. Was my incremental growth in the amount of business that's coming through large enough to justify converting a smaller rate of that? That makes sense?
I get that. That does make sense. And I also think the time to buy is also like more of a qualitative or quantitative like side metric in a way. So you can determine in those first 30 days how your cadence should be, how your, which is, I feel with that time to buy, you'll be able to see fluctuations in your messaging strategy and potentially tweak it within that.
Yeah, I would say like time to buy is the kind of the color metric. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Vanity metric within the set, and then ultimately your 30-day purchase rate. But if you have a whole lot more coming through, you can justify a lower 30-day purchase rate. You're just shooting fish in a barrel or whatever, right? So, and in the end, final statement, if you go through this whole process and measure it like we discussed last week, look, Mom, no new coupons, right? You're really marketing. Yeah?
Not just spamming coupons. Especially if you're deduping your list and making sure when campaigns go out, you're not sending multiple. You definitely wouldn't want a big. If they're in the welcome sequence, you want to be deduping them from any other like coupon or discounting campaigns, unless it's Black Friday, I guess.
So like my thought on that is like if you have a killer sale going on, I would send that to everybody in your welcome series. Because why would you? Because you've decided I want to discount this product this much to get this result. So if it's bigger than your welcome coupon, send that. But don't send just random stuff, because keep in mind, when someone's been on your list for like 6 months, they get it. They understand what's going on, and you're writing to them assuming that they understand what's going on to a degree. And welcome is like they don't understand what's going on. So don't confuse them with that other stuff, is the thinking behind that. Very cool.
Nice. So we have one more installment in this. We've covered welcome sequence. What is the third installment in this boot camp?
Post-purchase. So we are going to talk about how you understand that your whole team is getting that first goal. And the second one is how they're scoring off the rebound or whatever. I don't know what analogy it's going to be. But basically, does the team get that second goal quickly and efficiently? Right? And if you just focus your whole digital strategy on fast first purchase, fast second purchase,
You're gold.
I mean, you don't even have to worry. Don't worry about anything else. Just the whole thing is set those two things up so they work fast and ignore all your, Warren Buffett, he's like, every year he makes a list of 25 things that he wants to get done. He stack ranks them, and then he focuses on the first 5 and tries to avoid the next 20 at all costs. So if you just stack rank your priorities and say fast first purchase, fast second purchase, and just ignore everything else. Right.
Well, that's what you're going to be able to do after part 3 of this series. In the meantime, go to pilothouse.co if you just want to work with Jogo, or if you just want us to set up this data framework so you can start monitoring your time to purchase and your 30-day purchase rate with pristine assuredness like we described in the last podcast. Awesome. Thanks, Jogo. Talk to you later.
In the inbox late night, glowing screen, see the light. Email, everything feels alright.
Hey, entrepreneurs and spammers. Remember, you can't scale without email, and the cheapest customer to acquire is the customer you already have. So please subscribe to the world's best email and retention podcast and learn how to make low-cost revenue a big part of your digital ecosystem.